Hi, I'm Samantha Bee. Every week I host a comedy show about the most depressing topics in the universe. So you'd think I'd be used to the constant tragedy that makes up the fabric of this hellscape of a country, but I'm not. I'm still a person, and I am disgusted and hurt and pissed off that almost every day there's another shooting in the United States. It's gotten to the point that when a shooting does happen, you can't even call it the shooting because there are 3 other shootings that happened that day. And I want to talk about it on this show. I want to talk about why the we aren't doing anything to change things. I mean, look, no one wants to talk about the midterms right now. I don't. But we genuinely just have 18 months to try to do one thing about gun control. After that, who knows? Our next president might be a Teddy Ruxpin that's been programmed to just say the N-word. Which means we have to do something now. Just do one thing. Do one thing about guns.
Do one thing
about gun control.
Do one thing about guns.
One
thing.
Do something.
Do something.
One thing.
Do one
thing.
I believe in you. It shouldn't be this hard.
Do one thing about gun control.
Do one thing.
Do one thing.
One thing?
Do one
thing.
bloody thing.
Do one thing about guns.
Do something for children like my son.
Do one thing.
Do one thing.
Do one thing.
Do one thing.
Do one thing about guns.
I really hope this works because I owe these people tens of thousands of dollars on Cameo.
Oh, hard to hold this far inside me. It's not really like me to lash out. I gotta let it out. I wanna lash out. I wanna lash out.
Hi, I'm Samantha Bee. Welcome to our special Full Frontal Wants to Take Your Guns, the show where we try to rip that rifle from Charlton Heston's cold, dead hands. Even in death, he is really strong. Gun violence in America is an epidemic. We're in the midst of the largest wave of mass firearm violence in modern history, including at least 10 mass shootings across the U.S. this past weekend alone. And it is devastating lives in all too familiar ways.
Here we go again.
More than 400 people have been shot or killed by gunfire in the last 72 hours.
At least 8 people were shot and killed at a FedEx warehouse.
This time it's Boulder, Colorado, where gunfire at a supermarket yesterday broke out, killed at least 10 people.
The killing spree, in which most of the victims were Asian American women, happened in the span of just a few hours.
5 people killed and another hurt in a mass shooting in Rock Hill.
The wave of mass shootings this year may seem like a result of America's reopening, but gun violence never went away during the pandemic. 2020 actually saw the highest one-year increase in homicides since we began keeping records. Hence the Republicans' proposed solution, the maybe we should stop keeping records act. But despite all of this, Americans love their guns.
While America makes up about 4% of the world's population, we have more than 40% of the world's guns.
The Small Arms Survey estimates there are 393 million guns owned in the U.S., more guns than people.
Oh my God, that is so many guns. Can't we at least agree to spay and neuter them so guns stop breeding? Now, I know what the right-wingers out there are saying. Thanks. Guns don't kill people. People do. So we need to ban people to finally make America safe for guns. And how do we get rid of people? With guns, which don't kill people. Now stay tuned for Gutfeld or I'll shoot you. I hate your show. America leads other developed countries by a ridiculous margin in both gun ownership and gun murders. A country like Japan doesn't have our out-of-control gun violence problem because they don't let everybody have guns. Just like we don't have Japan's robot boob missile violence problem because we don't let our robots have boob missiles. At least not yet. Mississippi is considering it. Our country is trapped in a brutal cycle. Whenever there's a mass shooting, 3 things happen. The 2 sides debate gun control, there's a surge in gun sales, and I cry on the couch in my pajamas with Younger on repeat. I like to see that I'm not the only Gen Xer who can easily pass for a millennial. After the near back-to-back mass shootings in Atlanta and Colorado, President Biden finally decided to get in the game.
The White House is announcing 6 executive actions on guns. They direct the Justice Department to restrict homemade weapons known as ghost guns, restrict stabilizing braces that turn pistols into rifles, resume firearms tracking that stopped more than 20 years ago, and draft state red flag laws allowing relatives and police to ask a judge to keep weapons from people in crisis.
They've offered plenty of thoughts and prayers, members of Congress. Enough prayers. Time for some action.
Enough prayers, time for some action is also what God says every night when he's done answering prayers and ready to get freaky with Mrs. God. Biden's steps are a good start, but we need laws, which are practically impossible to pass at the federal level, but they can work. Since the Brady Bill passed in 1993, more than 300 million background checks have taken place, and approximately 4 million sales to prohibited buyers have been stopped. But the bill still has loopholes, like exemptions for purchases made through gun shows, private sales, and the internet. No one should be in such a hurry that they can't wait a day to send their shootable arrangement Mother's Day bouquet. Where the federal government has been reluctant to act, many states have stepped up. They've passed measures like background checks, expanded age restrictions, and they've ensured that guns stay out of the hands of high-risk individuals. Although, due to a typo, Rhode Island passed background checks for all gun purchases. It wasn't really necessary, but bubble injuries have dropped 46%. States with stricter gun control laws have lower rates of both murders and suicides, and states with fewer guns have fewer gun deaths. But gun violence still kills nearly 40,000 people each year, comparable to breast cancer, liver disease, and pancreatic cancer. It's time that we treat it as a public health crisis. That means studying it so we can understand the many root causes, because not all shootings have the same origin story. Kind of like comic book characters have a diverse range of origin stories, from losing a loved one in an act of gun violence to losing 2 loved ones in an act of gun violence, to losing many loved ones in an act of gun violence. We have many distinct gun violence problems, and we have to stop clumping them all together under one label, like that random aisle at the store that's labeled stationery, but also includes cat litter and lice combs. We should have been looking at guns as a public health problem all along, but we haven't been able to, largely because of 1996's Dickey Amendment. Presumably angry about the lifelong taunting he'd received about his name, Congressman J. Dickey punished America by barring the CDC from spending money to advocate or promote gun control. That basically scared the government off funding any research into gun violence, and you can't solve a problem if you don't have data on it. I mean, Jay-Z still has the same 99 problems he had in 2003 because the only data he's gathered is that a bitch is not one of them. Thankfully, in 2019, Congress finally started funding gun violence research again, but there is a lot of catching up to do. The government has been unable to fund any substantial research since 1996, and even back then, they couldn't get much done because every time their mom used the phone, they get kicked off the internet. Only 90s kids will understand. Even with the new funding, the CDC and NIH will split only $25 million to study one of our nation's leading causes of premature death. That's less than the budget for Paul Blart Mall Cop, which barely even cracked the top 50 causes of premature death. Audiences died laughing. While $25 million isn't nearly enough, at least we can finally start funding studies on gun violence and coming up with solutions. There's not a single quick fix solution, but previous studies have directed us toward gun control laws that work, like universal background checks. And in this age of Zoom meetings, I check my background before every meeting to make sure that one of my Stratocasters is in view. My Christmas bonus every year is me playing Tears in Heaven. Look, our instincts to call for gun control and taking away everyone's guns can be counterproductive, I suppose, scaring off gun owners, leading to more gun sales, and hurting our efforts to reduce violence. So, in hindsight, probably should have called this special. Full Frontal wants a robust, government-funded assessment of the gun violence problem with the goal of achieving greater gun safety and reducing violence. But a long title like that would look awkward in your on-screen program guide. Believe it or not, we actually have a model for using a public health approach to solve a lethal problem of this magnitude, the car safety movement. For the first few decades of the auto age, driving fatalities were seen as inevitable. But since 1975, the rate of deaths from motor vehicle crashes has fallen by 45%. That didn't just happen. We made it happen through measures like federal safety standards and decades of really weird messaging about seatbelts.
The seatbelt. It's beautiful. It's now being pressed into service everywhere to keep things where you want them to be.
The lovely Mrs. Gordon isn't so lovely anymore. She had what she thought was a good excuse for not wearing safety belts.
Hi, I'm Joey Lawrence. If you need a break, give a kid a break. Buckle up.
We are the dummies crashing on through, busting our heads just for you.
Good night from Iron Maiden. Drive home safe. Remember to strap yourselves in with your safety belts.
An accident! An accident! An accident! The humans had an accident!
Oddly enough, they also made a butthole edition of that announcement, and that was before CGI. Our country saw a public health crisis in driving fatalities, and we didn't just give up because it was too hard to address. We decided it was important. So we got our best scientists, engineers, and skimbleshanks to work together to improve things. But what if we never demanded it? What would cars be like if they were as free from regulation as guns are? We decided to find out. Donuts, cars, coffee, Funyuns, Four Loko, guns, Plan B, Viagra, neck braces, cigarettes, those round cheeses, and all of this stuff. So one of these things is not like the other. No, not because my dad owns all of them except Plan B. It's because they're all strictly federally regulated, except for guns. So I decided to buy a super safe minivan, hire a mechanic. Well, I know a guy who knows a guy. And we're gonna see exactly what a car would look like if it was only regulated to the same minimal standards as a gun. Let's start with the very basics. Seatbelt. Bye. See ya. Federal law requires all cars have seatbelts because, duh, they save lives. There's no federal requirement for the closest equivalent to a seatbelt. A gun safety. You know, the doohickey that keeps the gun from firing when you don't want it to. Oh, God. For over 50 years, we have had federal safety standards for motor vehicles, and there are now over 70 regulations specifying design, construction, performance, and durability standards for automobiles in the United States.
Saves lives.
How many of these types of regulations for the killing machine? Basically, none. Not even child locks. Kid, please don't touch that. We have federally regulated cars and successfully reduced the rate of deaths over time. Meanwhile, gun fatalities are on the rise, and we continue to do almost nothing. And to prove our point, we're also doing away with those state inspections where they check your brakes, headlights, turn signals, steering, tires, wheels, mirrors, windshields, car slinkies, and horn. Wow, now that's shrill. Because we all know gun annual inspections don't exist. There's more, but unlike a homicidal bigot trying to buy a gun, it'll have to wait. I know the gun issue can seem totally overwhelming, but there are great people out there doing amazing things. You just have to know where to look. Oh, is this the music we're using?
Hi, Sam.
Oh, and this is the puppet?
There's a cable. Sorry, Sam.
You're just a sock with eyes attached to like a whole man. It's fine. Okay, I'll be honest. I don't actually know where to find hope. Oh, maybe the person on the other end of this phone knows how to fight the gun lobby. Hello?
Hi, Sam. It's Shannon Watts from Moms Demand Action. How are you?
Oh my God, Shannon Watts! You're calling me in the middle of a special I'm doing about guns. This is so weird. If you don't know her story, the day after the 2012 Sandy Hook massacre, Shannon, a mother of 5, started a Facebook group calling on Americans to reduce gun violence.
I had 75 Facebook friends. It wasn't like I was a social media phenomenon, but it was like lightning in a bottle.
And now?
We're not only larger than the NRA, we're the largest grassroots movement in gun violence prevention and one of the largest in the country.
I feel like that's the only good thing that ever came out of Facebook. If you go to any local hearing on gun issues, you'll likely see Moms Demand Action.
We are mothers and others.
And others demanding action in their red t-shirts, fighting for background checks, red flag laws, safe storage, and other common sense reforms.
We have a 90% track record of stopping the NRA every year for the last 5 years.
Wow, I feel like you've done more to dismantle the NRA than even Wayne LaPierre has, and he has done a lot.
He has, but I take that as such a badge of honor.
Yeah. Oh, hang on a sec. I got another call coming through. Hold on. Hello?
Hi, Sam, can you talk?
No, I'm talking to Shannon Watt on the other line. She's making me feel so good.
Cool.
Can I call you back?
Okay.
Okay, I love you.
I love you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
You hang up.
No, you hang up.
You hang up.
No, you hang up.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, sorry.
Sure.
You take pains to say that your organization isn't anti-gun, it's anti-gun violence.
Yeah, we have so many gun owners who are part of our organization, and they support the policies we're fighting for, and they're part of our constituencies, for example, when we show up in state houses.
Okay, but why are politicians so afraid of the gun lobby?
Actually, we're at the point now where so many lawmakers are much more afraid of angry moms in red shirts than they are of gun lobbyists, who are writing checks.
So you're saying that the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good mom with a t-shirt?
That's exactly right. A caring American who wants to make change.
Thank you so much. It was so great to talk to you. Okay, bye.
Thanks.
What? Is that hope? I want more. I need a longer cable. Mass shootings get mass attention, but most gun violence happens in homes and neighborhoods. Who's addressing that? I need to ask the locals. How about these native New Yorkers? Okay, guess not. Or maybe...
Me?
No. Wait a second. What is this oddly placed TV doing here?
The city is funding a program now, and the people who are participating in it are called violence interrupters.
Violence interrupters? Tell me everything.
They also go to high crime areas and they watch for trouble there. And then when it breaks out, they step in and stop it before things get violent.
Stopping violence before it starts? Yes, please, community-based grassroots solution. And that brings me to Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Good.
To meet the folks at Save Our Streets.
The framework that we use to do our work really looks at gun violence as a public health issue. So it spreads like a disease, and our goal is to disrupt the transmission of that disease.
And how does that work on a case-by-case basis?
One of the most important things that we do is we hire from the community. We really utilize as people and the relationships that they leverage between each other to help de-escalate issues of violence before gun violence is exchanged.
So this is a very long game, but it works, right?
Most definitely.
There are now violence interruption programs around the country, and there's plenty of data to show that they're effective.
We're our own neighborhood watch. We do the policing so the police don't have to.
Okay. Violence interrupter Devontae Dudley says it's all about trust and credibility.
You walk around the community, check the temperature in the areas, just cordial, just every time you see us outside, you're like, oh, what's up, SOS, y'all right? Y'all chilling? How you doing? And we find out that they have access to firearms. We definitely trying to get close to them because who knows what you're gonna do when there's no one around you to try to talk to you. We want to be that in for you so that we can have you not pick up that gun.
What you're doing is really having a conversation.
And sometimes that's all you need. We can even have a sit down. Now y'all can both have a conversation, come to some type of agreement.
So you're like mediating conflict to go like, all right, what is the real problem here? Or like, how can you live in the same neighborhood and not want to kill each other every 5 seconds?
See, I think you work for us.
Yeah, okay. If you want to support violence interrupters near you, check out cureviolence at cvg.org. Also, Moms Demand Action has a great activism app, and if you do stuff, you get little stars. Well, folks, I think we learned a lot today. Big finish. If we all work together, we can defeat guns. Gonna take a lot of work, but it could be fun. We should also consider doing something about the filibuster. Anyway, I made the puppet sad. I stole their life essence. Yeah. Okay, thanks for being here, everybody. And to Alana on Zoom, who nobody told vaccines are a thing now.
Wait, what?
Right, so it's up to the 5 of us to handle all of guns. And look, I'm not feeling optimistic.
Exactly. I mean, guns are dangerous. They ruin our basic right to just exist safely in public. We gotta get rid of them.
But how do you get rid of something so undeniably cool?
No, guns are cool as hell, but nobody should have them.
Except for John Wick.
Oh yeah, we agree on that. Only John Wick should have guns.
But how do we make sure that nobody else wants one? How do we change public opinion?
Yes, we have to make guns uncool.
What if we change guns so they make stupid sounds? Every time you fire one, it's a foghorn.
Oh, that's so smart. Or we could make guns make the AOL dial-up sound every time they fire.
Yes.
Shh. You've got mail. I have an audition later.
Let's make guns smoke cigarettes.
No, that's too cool. God, I want a cigarette and a gun.
I want to smoke a gun.
What if we encouraged, as a safer alternative, big metal swords?
Come on, aren't swords kind of cool?
Yeah, but nobody who owns one is. Losers.
No. Okay, what if we passed a law requiring gun owners to wear, like, puka shell necklaces?
Wouldn't that just make guns kind of sexy and chill?
I've got it. We get Richard Marx to film a pro-gun PSA. That way no one's gonna want to buy guns anymore because they'd be so uncool.
I mean, technically, Richard Marx is too cool to do our show.
Make guns play chess.
Justin's having a moment.
Make guns wear jorts.
Okay, again, I kind of feel like that's just gonna make guns sexy and chill.
What are you wearing? It is early to mid-May.
Why is this so hard?
It's impossible. Guns are killing machines that have caused endless human suffering and misery. But they're just so cool.
Oh, wait a second. No, I got it. Every gun sold in the United States must wear a chain wallet.
Genius!
Oh, come on!
Seriously, how did you get dressed this morning?
I got dressed to look sexy and chill. Take my sword.
There goes the least cool man I have ever known. Sexy and chill, though. Time to check back in with Meddy the mechanic and our death van. Let's talk paperwork. We installed a driver's side shredder to tear apart your registration, insurance, and proof of ownership. Every state requires these for cars, but not guns. This lack of paperwork allows guns to trade hands through more loopholes than a Victorian-era corset. Oh, let's go ahead and shred your driver's license, too. You see, every state requires a driver's license, and you have to pass a written and practical test to get the license. But that's not true for guns. Also, unlike cars, children are allowed to fire at will, which is why we're installing a super cute kid steering wheel. And to mitigate my continued frustration, I've asked the mechanic to install a driver's side hamster drip filled with hard liquor.
That's a good idea. Hi, I'm 80s/borderline 90s pop rock icon Richard Marx. That's right, the Richard Marx. And I'm here to talk to you about why guns are cool. And if anyone knows what's cool and uncool, it's old Richard Marx, the famous musician you still love. Guns feel smooth, powerful, and rugged, much like today's young people feel when they take their truck to the bonfire and play my song, Endless Summer Nights. You know, some people say that guns are a real hazard, also the name of my 1992 #1 adult contemporary single. And as with that song, guns are still being embraced by people in the all-important 18 to 35 demographic. Sure, some Hollywood elites say the Second Amendment is outdated and useless and hasn't updated its music in a couple of decades. But I and it are still here. Like my music, guns are timeless and often heard at the grocery store. I guess when it comes to buying guns, you could say I'm a repeat offender. 1989. Rick Dees said it was a good album to kiss to for 20 minutes. Look, everyone knows that Richard Marx is dialed into cool things, like having your hair be the texture of cotton candy, being mentioned on the cover of multiple teen magazines between the years 1987 and 1993, squatting low to the ground in press photos, and, you guessed it, guns. So take it from me, Richard Marx. I'll be right here waiting for you to buy a gun as cool as me.
Thank you, Richard Marx, the arbiter of cool. And now the conclusion to the story of our epic death car. For 2 weeks, our mechanic, Meddy, has been defiling a minivan so we could see what a car would look like if it were held to the same standard of regulations as a gun. Today is the unveiling.
3, 2, 1.
Oh my God.
You love it?
Oh, oh! You're a maniac.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Gun manufacturers are masters of disguise when it comes to hiding how dangerous their weapons really are. So I had Medi channel the Remingtons and the Glocks for the final modifications. They add gadgets like lasers to create the illusion that this death trap is a video game or a toy.
Instead of an airbag.
So we added bubbles. Or they'll claim that warlike features are for hunting.
Why? Why not?
Or they try to emasculate those fragile men who are drawn to guns.
Well, now you know when you're a little bitch or when you're a bad bitch.
At what point does it go to bad?
Like 80 miles an hour.
Then those same gun manufacturers push bullshit sayings to make them feel like heroes.
If there's ever a bad guy with a car,
yeah,
you're there.
Or they try to inspire rage. Hey, it's me! They'll do anything to distract from the fact that this machine has one true purpose: to kill. You've built something incredible here.
Thank you.
Can I ask, is this drivable?
I don't recommend it, but it drives.
Let's go. But this is my God-given right, so I'm suiting up and letting Medi risk his life for my show. Good luck! I think if anyone saw this deregulated and unregistered death on wheels whipping around the highway, throwing sparks and smoke and blowing bubbles, we'd all say, get that thing off the road. Let me ask you a couple of questions about it. Would you use it to protect your family?
No.
Should a teacher have this in their classroom?
No.
But what if you were scared of other people? Should you just have this like on you?
No.
I feel like there's almost no application for this vehicle.
No. I think we should say bye to it.
I think we should banish it to hell. And that's what we did. We destroyed the van. When something can so easily kill, we make common sense changes to ensure everyone's safety. Even though now I have no way of getting home.
You've tried small guns, you've tried big guns, but have you considered swords? Heavy in the hand, swords are powerful, striking the beginning of a quest. An ancient weapon of heroes wielded by both the Knights of the Round Table and also Thomas Cantos, that guy down the street who was once sent home from school for masturbating in the kiln room in art class. A gun is the coward's choice. Protect yourself with a sword. You'll never even have to use it. When people see you walking the streets, a sword in your belt, they'll say, there goes that sword guy who masturbated in the kiln room, and leave you alone. For more information on swords, talk to that guy at Medieval Times who has fans for some reason. Don't take it from us. Take it from this chivalrous swordsman.
I once found a sword inside an abandoned movie theater off of Route 9 next to the Good Wendy's. It fit in my hand, and that's how I knew that it was mine. Swords.
Consider swords. Today. Swords not intended for stabbing, slicing, or role-playing outside with friends.
That's our special. Did we solve America's gun problem in 30 minutes? Of course not. That would take at least an hour-long show. So the ball's in your court, 911 Lone Star. Unless we all do something as a country, firearms will keep killing people. And what really sucks is that we don't have to live this way. America has spent decades taking half measures against gun violence while hoping and praying that the deaths will stop. But if we genuinely want to feel safe at school, the mall, the movie theater, the grocery store, church, and literally anywhere, we need actual action. Please join our friends from Cure Violence at cvg.org and find out how you can help keep up the gunfight. The fight against gun violence, sorry. We need to stop the endless cycle of violence in this country, and we need to do one thing about guns. Just do something. Aw, thanks for watching. If you'd like to hear more from Full Frontal, hit subscribe and visit our page for more videos. Or if you'd like to be radicalized, leave YouTube on autoplay.